Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Cass and my channel name is Cassie B. So today I will be making my own garden soil, and to do that I was inspired by the Rusted Gardener. He claimed that he could make cheaper and better garden soil with just these 3 bags. So there's some things to consider before you go out and try this method though, and I'd like to share those with you today. So let's talk a little more about making your own garden soil. Number 1, for me, I used what was cheap and available at my local garden center, which is Lowe's. I could not find the products he mentioned in his video, which was leaf grow. That is just composted leaf matter, and it's not available to me in my area. I even looked at Walmart to try to have it shipped. It didn't even come up in the search. So one thing you might need to take into consideration for doing this project is just finding things that are available and that are affordable and meet your needs. So number 2, the advice that I followed comes from the Rusted Gardener, and I watched his video, and again, he used just 3 bags. He used peat moss, leaf grow, and he used shredded mulch. So if you are worried about using shredded mulch for nitrogen reasons, he says as long as it's shredded and you don't have large chunks, you should be okay. So number 3, I did my best to find equivalent products to the ones he mentioned in his video. So the 3 products I found at Lowe's that were equivalent to the ones he used was the cow manure for the organic matter, and also I used topsoil, and I went with the cypress shredded mulch. So those were, to me, those are equivalent. So I swapped out the peat moss for the topsoil, and let's look at that a little bit, and you'll see that it's pretty much comparable. It's helpful to know what peat moss is. So peat moss is basically made up of decomposing organic matter, and it's mostly decomposing sphagnum moss. Peat moss loosens heavy clay soils to provide aeration for the plant roots. It also improves drainage and moisture retention. And lastly, like I mentioned, it adds organic matter to the soil. So that will provide the food for the plants as they take up the nutrients from the soil. Now let's look at the cons. So cons for using the peat moss, when I looked this product up, for me, that cost is $20 for the 3, I think it's 3 cubic feet. But for 3 cubic feet, the large bag that he had, it was $20. For a smaller bag, for the 8-quart bag, the cost is $7. So when you compare that to the topsoil that I found, and the topsoil I'm using is the brand is called Timberline. A bag of topsoil is only $2.78. So right there you can see that it is like 1/3 of the cost of the peat moss. Now let's look into the topsoil and see, is it a similar ingredient? So hear me out. The topsoil says that it contains recycled forest products, which aerate the native soil. So if you look at it from a broader point of view, these 2 items or materials are essentially the same. They both add aeration and they mimic a forest floor. So I don't know how this has come up, but I've seen it a few times, and trying to mimic a forest floor is really the best soil for your plants. If you've heard that, comment below and let me know. So to sum this up, I like to ask myself these 3 things. Will it improve soil aeration? Will it retain moisture? Will what I'm adding to my soil, will it add nutrients for the plants? The 4th thing would be, are my plants thriving with the soil that I used? So in the past, I have used strictly Miracle-Gro potting soil for containers, and I've had issues with drainage. So that's why I'm kind of like moving away from the Miracle-Gro, and I'm going to try out this method and see how it works. It is not only cheaper, but it says it's better than the Miracle-Gro. He didn't say Miracle-Gro, but you know that's what he's talking about. So without further ado, let's go make some soil. This is the container I'll be using, and I already punched out the holes in the bottom. This is a whiskey barrel. It's the largest one that they had available at Lowe's, and it cost $16. This is the iris that I'm going to be planting inside of it. It's the largest iris that I know. It has a purple bloom, and these will close up in the evening. And it goes good with this purple queen plant in the background. Good enough. Topsoil, compost, and some mulch, like 2 to 1 part mulch. I'm just going to mix this up so I can easily add it to the top. All right, we're all done. A little messy. That's okay. pretty much centered. And then I have a little room to maybe add a plant, 1 or 2 plants right there. But that's how it looks. I have enough soil for probably another half container or small container. And then I could top this off with mulch. I don't think I have to, but I might. I'm still looking for a mulch that I like. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Last thing I'm going to do is to just water in some of this food. But for 1 gallon, it says to just mix in half a teaspoon. So that's what I'm going to do. That took 50 minutes, so just under an hour to complete this project. I'll be planting these hibiscus next to our driveway next. All right, guys, so I hope you learned something from watching this video. Like I said, as long as you're adding aeration and some kind of moisture control, but you're able to keep the drainage so that the roots will not rot in your soil, then you're doing a good thing for your plants. You're gonna help them to grow and live their best life. So what I really am trying to do in my yard is mimic a forest floor. There's many ways to do that. If you're just trying to amend your soil in like your yard or a large planting bed, all you really need is to add some shredded mulch. You might want to add some composted materials, but if you just keep adding the mulch, it will get decomposed and eventually turn into that organic matter. And that's how we replicate the forest floor. I'm working on my own compost pile. If you haven't seen my video on how I clean up underneath all of my oak trees, I have saved some of those leaves and started to make my own compost with it. So having compost is a good thing. If you have it, if you can make it, I encourage you to learn more about it. Otherwise, you can just add some shredded mulch, which you can get for free at a mulching facility. Cities are set up for mulching yard waste or trees, and you can go and you can collect that from them and bring it home, and that's free. So I hope this video has helped you guys. Let me know if it did. Thank you for watching and happy gardening. Bye. Well, it's peaceful when Jordy's not barking.